Well, totally different conditions last week. We were racing in the sand of Southwick, and then Hurricane Irene started to show up. There were crashes, there was mud, there was some heartbreak as well. But there was also some jubilation as Gareth Swanepoel took his first ever win in the United States in the first moto. Tyla Rattray took the overall victory, and Dean Wilson survived to take a solid finish and hold on to the points lead. That sets the stage for today's 250 Moto 1 here at Steel City, live on Fuel TV. It's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Let's give you the big picture storylines we're following in this class. First, the international stars shine in our last race. Swanepoel from South Africa, as mentioned, wins the first moto. Rattray from South Africa wins the overall. And Wilson is the points leader. He is from Scotland and even spent some time racing in Canada. So it was an all-international podium. Dean Wilson is nearing the championship. He's got a 38-point lead with 2 races. That's 4 motos left. Of course, anything can happen, but he was the fastest rider in practice today, so certainly he is looking good for yet another solid result. Only 1 overall win for Dean this year, but he's only finished off the podium in a moto twice so far this season. He's been very consistent. So that's the scenario in this 250 division that was so close just a few races ago. You could throw a blanket over Wilson, Rattray, and also Blake Baggett. But bad races for Baggett and Rattray as of late have opened it up for Wilson. He's got to avoid those bad races now as we're in the stretch run.
Here we're taking a look at the 533 of Gannon Audette, a rookie this season, and he is our one to watch. He's only had 2 top 10 moto finishes, and it's been a bit of a rough road for him this season. Came in with a lot of potential, but now at the end of this championship, he's finally starting to find his groove with this DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha team, and the whole team has put in an excellent job this summer.
Well, he was a rookie out of the amateur ranks basically 1 year ago. This was his first full year as a pro, but now that team has a new rookie in the ranks, Kyle Peters. He just fresh out of the amateur ranks this year. So Audette maybe feel a little pressure with a new kid on the block into the 10. See how it turns out in Moto 1. Looks like Wilson trying to control it. Pretty easy to pick him out. He's got that red number plate because he is your series points leader. 66, Jimmy Dakotas, and the Geico Honda tucking in right behind Wilson. But that's exactly where Dino wants to be, up front.
Hey, that's how it's done. He's got a huge points lead right now, but there's no better way to wrap up the title, or at least to inch your way closer, than to grab the whole shot and give yourself a great chance. Because once you get back in the pack, especially here in the 250 class, it gets pretty shaken up, especially on Moto 1, and a lot can happen. You seem to get a lot luckier when your starts are good, right?
Check out the 891, Justin Bogle, another one of those rookies, fresh out of the amateur division, and he takes over second from his teammate Dakotas. So Bogle, who has been very fast in his first 2 pro races, looking even better here in his 3rd one, and he wants to try to run with Wilson.
I believe that this is the type of track that a rider like Justin Bogle, it resembles you know, a lot of the amateur tracks, and I think when you come into the professional ranks as an amateur, it's really speed and talent based. It's a little less. Oh, look at
jumping it! Very
few of the riders,
rare. Yeah, not many riders have done that, Jeff.
But Bogle, I believe that he's primed for a good moto like this, but it's going to be tough right now because, look, he's got the series points leader. 7 moto wins Dean Wilson has, with only 1 overall, but 38-point lead coming into this event. He's racing with arguably the fastest 250 rider in the world this season.
And doing a good job hanging with him. How about 3rd place is Ryan Sipes, another one of those star racing Yamaha riders. And Sipes has ridden a lot of laps in this track. He used to ride this thing as an amateur, so he knows the way around. So he is up to the number 3 position. Oh, there's Sipes on the 25. He's gotten around to Dakotas. And now trying to go after Bogle for the number 2 spot.
Jason, the track is really getting rough at this point, but during the break, we've seen some images of the track where they'd put down some water. Remember those shiny spots? We heard the comments from the 450 riders just a minute ago, from Metcalf, about how you come out of a nice sticky groove in the turn, then it would just turn to concrete. That's what it's going to be like for these riders, where there's dust in certain spots, nice tacky ruts, but look at all the water that they put down in front of the mechanics area here. And you see the bikes kind of sliding around under these guys as they're trying to fight for traction on the edge of that tire in this situation of these off-camber turns.
Look at Bogle. Bogle trying to pass your series points leader Wilson for the lead.
Let's see if he squares him up around the outside. Oh, Wilson shuts the door. This is exactly what Dean Wilson does not want, is to have to deal with any rookie who's not even in the points chase whatsoever. But going back to the finish line, Wilson came around with the lead, and it was Rattray that sits back in 6th.
Yeah, and Rattray's rider second in points. And by the way, it's a little early to start talking about that, but Wilson could wrap up the title today if Rattray is a bad race. Rattray
and Baggett. Baggett's only a couple points behind Rattray. But it's interesting, Baggett right now is just outside of the top 10. And earlier in the season, it looked like he might run away with this championship. He claims he's been suffering from bad starts, and he's really worked on that, especially this week. You know, we spoke to him at the Pro Circuit rig there for a little bit. Outside of the top 10 off the start, does not look like that he executed this first motor start like he wanted to.
The guy we got to talk to more is this 891 Justin Bogle, who is there pulling away a bit from the third place rider Sipes, and he is giving Wilson all he can handle. And we have seen rookies come in their very first pro race. The adrenaline's flowing, the pressure is off. They log a great race.
Well, it was his teammate.
Third one.
Yeah, it was his teammate Eli Tomac only 1 year ago. Won the opening round at Hangtown.
And hasn't won a race since. What's impressive to me about Bogle, he was great in his first race, but he's been arguably better in these next two. Had a great finish 4th at our last moto at Southwick, and here he is battling for the lead at Steel City.
Oh, there's such a tendency to jump off to the left side of the track on that uphill double. Bogle really, you know, riding the thin line there.
Oh, those are rookies too, right? The consistency, they're not worried about that. They just want to go fast.
Yeah, Bogle's got a cool style too. He like off that tabletop there, kind of jumping with his inside leg off, both feet off there. That's going to happen every now and then, especially at a track like this. These ruts as you come, you know, through those uphill sections there. When I walked the track earlier today in qualifying practice, I mean, those lines were so deep, and it wasn't such a big deal because it was fairly wet then, but now this clay is hardened up. You know, imagine if you're, you know, shaping a clay pot, and when it's wet, it's slippery, so that makes it difficult, but yet it kind of moves around. But then, as it hardens up, you know, it doesn't move, and that's what's happened here.
Oh, trouble for the 71 of Nick Paluzzi, and I'll try Morris. Aaron, what's happening down there?
Mechanics are taking a look at his bike right now, but Ryan, maybe you could explain to us what went on out there. Can you explain to us what went on out there? Your mechanics are vigorously working on your bike right now.
I got a good start and I was running up there, but my head pipe broke and fell off.
How tough are the conditions right now out there? How tough are the conditions out there right now?
It reminds me of Supercross. It's pretty slippery, but it's really one line, but oh well, we'll regroup and get him second moto.
All right, tough luck for Mo. I confused the 71 Suzuki with the 72 of Paluzzi. Man, they're working hard.
Yeah, but it's incredible, his positive attitude at that point. I mean, he's easily going to be a lap down.
Yeah, well, going to go out there, I guess, and log some laps, learn something, or maybe not. We'll find out if Morris gets back into this one when we return. Give you a tour of the track here, brought to you by Kawasaki and that all-new KX450F for 2012. Jeff, take us on a lap.
Well, of course, the start was important. Dean Wilson grabbed the whole shot, and then he controls it. Uphill, downhill. The track is pretty much off camber, even in the sections where it looks flat on TV. In reality, all of these turns, you're really using the edge of the tire to get traction. Starting to dry out. It's getting extremely hard packed. Now they put some water down in spots, so it's going to get really slippery in those spots. And really hard, deep, rutted turns are going to make it really tricky for the riders.
Has not been tricky so far for your leader, Dean Wilson. He's got Justin Bogle about 3 seconds behind him. You see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. 20 minutes and 2 laps left in this one. And we'll focus on the third place battle. On the blue bike is Ryan Sipes. On the red is Eli Tomac. Sipes has had a up and down year, more downs than ups, unfortunately, in motocross after getting a few wins on the indoor supercross tour. Trying to rebuild the program here today, running in third.
Yeah, and you know a little bit about this condition that he had while he you know, he had an illness that he was suffering over the last month, right?
This is Broc Tickle earlier in the race. More bad luck for him. Apparently some sort of bike problem. Tickle has had some bad luck this summer, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he's had some good rides lately, but this definitely doesn't build that momentum. You know, and if you're Mitch Payton, you've got a few bikes on the track. You've got 4 team riders, okay? Oh, here's a pass.
Tomac trying to make it happen, and the inside and now the outside of Sipes. That section of uphill jumps, will there be room? Whoa. Tomac made it happen without much despair. Almost tangled with Sipes, and if you do tangle with someone launching off that thing, you're going for a ride.
You know, when I flew into Pittsburgh here, I was with Tomac and his family, and the pilot announced that we were landing and the time was 2:43. And John and myself, we both looked at each other. Eli, is this a sign?
It's his old number, right?
Yeah.
It's his old number. I only hope the pilot took things a little easier compared to that takeoff by Tomac.
Yeah, he was flying there. There's no doubt about that.
And you got to watch Rattray on the number 28. Kawasaki is 5th, and he is not too far behind these two, Sipes and Tomac. And Tomac has had speed all year, but he has been talking about his starts, much like Broc Tickle, all year long. He's been struggling with the starts. He's actually gone to do some work on his starts with Jeremy McGrath. And Aaron, what are you hearing on the 19?
Well, you guys, he was so upset after what took place last weekend at Southwick. He said bad luck both motos. He's not mentally down. He said he's regrouped. He's trying to stay positive. His lower back has been injured, so he's been having muscle stints put on his back to relieve that. But he said today is all about revenge. Mistakes weren't his fault, and he expects to podium.
Okay, all right. Well, he's definitely fired up right now, Aaron. He's made the move on Sipes, but not able so far to get in sight of those leaders. They got about 8 seconds on Tomac, Sipes right now. And here comes Rattray. Mention him. Wait a minute. Who have we finally found toward the front of the pack? Say the name right. You're better at it than I am, Jeff.
Marvin Musquin.
Nicely done. The Frenchman, who almost got slowed up a little bit there by Rattray, missed a whole bunch of races early in the year with a broken thumb. And since he has come back every week, I'm thinking we're going to see a breakthrough, maybe a podium from this guy. Hasn't happened yet, but he's on the charge right now.
Look at Marvin down the inside. Let's see if the short line prevails.
Oh, is he going to try to edge out Rattray? Wow, and he does. Rattray is not a guy you want to make contact with. He's one of the bigger, stronger riders in this 250 class, but Musquin was not afraid of that. He makes it happen.
Well, and it's interesting because last week at Southwick in the sand, you know, Rattray was almost unbeatable. He was so fast. He loves that style of track. And the flip side on that is that when you are so conditioned for, you know, to have a good ride and you love the sand, well, this is completely different. So, you know, you got to change your mindset to say, I like all the tracks, okay? Obviously today, Rattray doesn't quite have the edge on the competition like he did 1 week ago. Well, and that can't be like a, you know, like a conditioning thing or a bike setup. That's just purely, you know, speed on this style of track.
Next up, we have the 139 of Malcolm Stewart battling it out with Blake Baggett. So we finally found Baggett. They are 7th and 8th. That's that race here. Aaron has Broc Tickle, we believe, down in the pits. Aaron, what's happening?
If it wasn't for tough luck for Broc Tickle, it'd be no luck at all. But Broc, talking with you earlier this morning, you wanted so badly to end the season off on a positive note. It just continues to dwindle.
Yeah, you know, it's part of motocross, and this is what we do. So we're going to have to regroup and get ready for the second moto.
You know, it might not look as such a glaring problem for Tickle if the other 3 riders on his team weren't having so much good luck throughout the majority this summer.
And I'm sure that everybody else is at home watching, you know, wants to know what happened to the bike. And the reason Aaron didn't ask him a question is so that it wasn't a pre-program. They're never going to tell you what happened.
They don't
the
tell
bike.
you that. No, they don't tell you what happened. Here is Baggett trying to make the move on the 139 of Stewart as they work their way downhill. Stewart, younger brother of James Stewart, is a former champion in this class, in this series. It is his rookie year, so he's seeing a lot of these tracks on the pro side for the first time. This is one of the few tracks that Baggett has actually raced on before. Came here in 2009 when he wrapped up his amateur career, basically to try to make a name for himself. And he had a great run for 4th in a moto at this event, and that really put him on the map. And he's going after Stewart right now.
Stewart putting in some great rides this season.
Yeah.
He's on that AMA Energy Suzuki City bike team that has struggled to find the talented riders to put them up in the position to get the notoriety that all of their hard work deserves. No doubt with Malcolm Stewart on this team this season, he really has been a standout. And overall, the team has done a fantastic job for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, trouble for Dakotas, who was up front early on. He's had good starts since returning to the tour after an elbow injury. Not able to quite put the finishes together, and now we see that Baggett has made the move on Stewart. But that will put Baggett in the 7th. That is not where he wants to be. This is a guy who won a whole bunch of motos and races earlier in the year.
And especially on this style of track, not far down the road at High Point. Earlier in the season, he absolutely demolished the competition. And it was this style of track that, you know, I was expecting Baggett to come here, get some starts, be able to ride through the pack, you know, if he needed to. But right now, Baggett's lap time's at 2:34. Wilson's at 2:36. You got Tomac, fastest rider on the track, at a 2:33. So not blazing speed. He's not slow by any means, but just not quite as fast compared to the competition as he was at a few races earlier this year. He had 3 races where he won both motos, just swept the day.
Yeah, and a lot of times doing it from behind, passing everyone to win the races. Has not had the magic here the last few races. And here's the problem. With Baggett in 7th and Rattray battling with Musquin there, a couple positions further back from your leader, Wilson. This is putting Wilson in position to maybe wrap up the championship later today. He needs to have a 51-point lead by the time it's all over.
So he needs to gain 13 points over Rattray.
Right.
And that'd be 15 over Baggett
yep.
on the day to put himself at least 51 up. And he needs that on both riders, and then he'll actually lock down the championship with 1 race to go. And this championship was so close midway through the season that nobody would have predicted that at this race Wilson would have that type of gap. But a couple of DNFs by the competition and some great, consistently strong rides by Wilson has put him in that terrific position to win the championship.
Hey, remember this guy, the 387? 1 week ago exactly, Gareth Swanepoel was in the lead in the first moto at Southwick and won it. Now just trying to fight his way into the top 10, and it is the 72 of Nick Paluzzi, who is not out of the race. That was his teammate Ryan Morris, who is battling Swanepoel right now.
And Swanepoel there on that DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha is the only machine outside of a Pro Circuit Kawasaki that has been on the top step of the podium in a moto. So kind of breaking the streak that Mitch Bones and those guys had going, but still incredible ride and a strong way to back it up here.
Well, the South Africans sweeping that first moto last week in the sand with Rattray and Swanepoel. Not quite the same good fortune today, and certainly no good fortune for this man, Jimmy Dakotas. You're watching Justin Bogle here, now in 3rd. His teammate Eli Tomac has run him down, and there's still a lot of young talent in the ranks for that Geico Honda team, and they were duking it out just a moment ago, Jeff.
Yeah, here's where Tomac's trying to get to the inside of Bogle. Bogle puts on a pretty good fight here, looks over at his teammate, and watch as they come down into here. Eli just carries a little more momentum around the outside. Nice push there.
Talk about racing 30 minutes and 2 laps for Bogle, who is used to racing in the amateur ranks, where the longest race you'd ever run at the Loretta Lynn Ranch National by Red Bull is 20 minutes, and that's long for an amateur race. A lot of them are much shorter.
Long and hot, but you can see on a day like today, you know, Justin Bogle seems to be well conditioned and well suited, and that's part of the program here, that this factory connection backed by Geico Power Sports and Honda, how the structure of their team is to sign an amateur rider. Same thing they did with Eli Tomac, same thing they did with Justin Barcia the year before that. Sign them a year before they turn pro,
right, and
have them integrated with the pro race team. And that's made the transition for Barcia, who came out of the box fast, Tomac, and now Bogle. It's made that so much easier for these riders to perform well early on in their pro career.
Baggett now has caught Rattray, So a battle is on between the teammates. You'd expect this to be maybe for the lead, but this time it's just to try to get into 6th. Rattray, and whoa, wait a minute, Ryder is down, trying to figure out who that is. We only saw a bike, didn't see anyone with it. It's 5th right now, Rattray and Baggett. And yeah, you touched on it earlier in this race. Totally different track and really totally different result for Rattray, who was clearly the man at Southwick.
Yeah, watch Baggett here on the inside. Got a little momentum. Let's see if he can square him up. Remember, Rattray got past there early on in this moto.
And yeah, they got passed by Musquin, who's gotten away from them. So it's a private duel between the Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki teammates.
And this is for 2nd in the championship, essentially, the points.
But we mentioned that Wilson, if he gains 13 on Rattray by the end of the day today, he'll have a 51-point lead. That would be enough to wrap up the title. Right now, Rattray is in 5th. They pay you 16 points for that. They pay 25 for a moto win. So Wilson would make up 9 on Rattray. So he would,
yeah, and then essentially he would only need, you know, a few more points in the next moto to lock this thing down.
Next Tuesday, it's the world television premiere of Strangers in Danger. Best friends and pro BMXers Mike Rooftop Escamilla and Zach Catfish Yankush are lightly packed and heavily insured, and they're on a mission. They're going to take on some of the most extreme, bizarre, and dangerous experiences around the globe. So check out Strangers in Danger Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern and Pacific.
What do you have to do in life to earn nicknames of Rooftop and Catfish? Those are very interesting.
Those are
Love to know
random.
the story behind that.
That was probably one way to find out.
Like Chupacabra here, 57.
Well, that one, you got to have someone smart watching, figuring things out, and making nicknames stick. You know, I don't want to take all the credit. But anyway, that is, we haven't seen much of El Chupacabra right now.
Oh, sorry. Chupacabra.
The last couple of weeks, it's just not been the same Blake Baggett, not the guy who was attacking people when they were tired late in these races. And they didn't really have a major injury or anything to point to. Wait a minute, here's their battle for 2nd. If you look at 19, Tomac. Bogle not letting him go.
He's hanging with him. Bogle was at a 2:37.4 last lap around, and Tomac was at 2:38.8, so over a second faster. This is late in the moto, 25 minutes in.
Think that's a mistake from Tomac, or is Bogle stepping it up?
Maybe a little of both.
Have I stumped the master?
No, I'm just not going to tell you all my secrets. I still have another moto after this.
All right, yeah. Once again, it doesn't come free, does it?
That's right.
It's just giving away free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your check
closed
didn't
back
clear
in.
from last week, so once that check clears, I'll give you some more knowledge.
Maybe some swag or something. I'll get you a T-shirt. Okay, so Tomac, who we thought had cleared his teammate, and well, I said at least, shows what I know. Well, you know, Bogle's only used to 20-minute motos. It's hard for him to go the distance.
It's a very amateur mentality that you have.
Of mine.
They're both professional racers at this point.
That's why my checks didn't clear. I'm making amateur money here. So Bogle keeping Tomac honest. They are not within sight of your leader. That's the Tomac mechanic, easy for me to say, saying dig deep, but that's just to hold off his teammate. Like I said, they can't see Wilson, who is 9 seconds in front of them. He's putting it all together late in the year.
Can you tell our new viewers why he has a red number plate and everyone else has a black number plate?
He's your series points leader. This much I do know. And the man who's leading the series gets to run the red plate. And it was a funny thing because Wilson had that red plate quite a bit this year, but a lot of the talk was about his frustration over not getting a race win. But if he ends the year with 1 win, as he has now, or no wins, or 5 or 12, at the end of the year, if you're champ, I don't know, does it really matter?
No. It does at this point, but if he's got the title and, you know, he led 105 laps compared to Baggett, his 79 coming into this, and if he leads this whole moto, it's going to be approximately 14 more laps. 7 moto wins. This will give him 8. If he wraps this up, it'll tie Baggett for the top, for the most amount of moto wins.
And to give you an idea of his consistency, he has only finished off the podium in 2 motos this year. He's been in the top 3 in all but 2. Last year's champ in this class, Trey Kennard, was off the podium 10 times. So Wilson, one of the all-time consistent runs this year.
We're trying to
Yeah, I was onto something. To welcome you back to Steel City in the 11th round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Justin Bogle was fast early, seemed to lose some steam, went fast again. I thought I had been proven wrong when I said maybe he's not used to 30-minute motos yet, but now he's beginning to fade back. Again, he's lost a couple of spots, not only to his teammate Eli Tomac, but while we were away at break, both Marvin Musquin and Tyla Rattray were able to get by him as well. So I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Bogle turned 2:38. Every other rider inside that top 5 was at a 2:34. So he lost 4 seconds that lap and 2 positions. Incredible ride for Musquin and Rattray. They're really coming on strong here with 2.5 to go.
Rattray trying to get him back. There he is on the 28. Remember, Musquin got him way back in his moto, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. And there's an opportunity for Rattray to get him back. And this is a battle. Let's see. You've got Rattray. They're looking for a possible podium in this moto. That would be the first in the U.S. for Musquin. He'd be happy with that.
Yeah, so you got Wilson out front, Tomac, Musquin, Bogle. Oh, I'm sorry, Rattray, and then Bogle rounding out your top 5. Hey,
yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Weege, will you tell our viewers what the wildest late night party on television is?
On television. On television, it's The Daily Habit. Big talk, big sports, big tunes. That's the wildest late night party on television every weeknight on Fuel TV at 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. How does it match up to a night at Jeff Emming's house?
No, you got to tune in, see Pat Parnell and all the insanity that goes on with that program. It's
That's
crazy.
why they have you come on there, because they heard your reputation for wild late night parties. And oh, okay, sorry. That you're just on there for motocross analysis.
That's right.
Got it. And this is Rattray coming through. Remember, he was battling with his teammate Baggett. He is now in front of Baggett, so a lot of shuffling with the Kawasaki boys. So Baggett must have made a mistake somewhere. We'll give you the full rundown. It's Wilson, Tomac, Musquin 3rd, Rattray 4th, Baggett 5th, Bogle 6th. Then it's Swanepoel, Malcolm Stewart, Darren Durham has climbed into the top 10, and his teammate Alex Martin is battling with him.
They've got quite a points battle between those two teammates on that 11-10 Mods Honda team, right? They're starting to get pretty close.
1 point between them, and that's to be top privateer in the series. That's top rider not sponsored by one of the big manufacturers. And it's also a battle for 10th overall. That's big for a privateer to finish in the top 10.
Got that right, and that's a small truck that those guys work out of compared to all the other factory teams that have the big 18-wheelers. They work out of old school back in the box van days.
Jeff Emming style rig, right?
I had a few box fans in my day.
Here is Wilson looking to polish off maybe another trophy by the end of the day. Could it be a first place trophy? We'll see as he tries to finish up Moto number 1, which he has led pretty much from the get-go. Was able to seize the lead early.
Did you see that? That wheelie tap? That was maybe the best execution of that section of anyone that I've seen today. I mean, he's just riding so effortlessly, and he's flowing everywhere, keeping his momentum on that size 9 boot. He's not getting caught in his. He informed us that he didn't have as big a foot as what we had predicted.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, so we thought he had big boots, but I guess somehow he's a slender, tall guy. So I guess that somehow correlated to the boot size.
Dean Wilson is on his way to having a fat bank account too, if he could lock this title down, because there's some serious bonuses that come to riders when they win these championships here.
White flag is out, so 1 lap to go for the 15 of Dean Wilson. Take us through this replay here, Jeff.
Watch this technique. Okay, kids at home, this is what you want to do. Watch when he wheelies into the second jump and taps and has a flat trajectory now that can't quite get enough momentum to actually triple that with the front wheel down. So as the bike starts to come down for the double, you tap the rear tire, kind of pops you back up over the 3rd one. Wow. Out of a Scotsman? That type of riding? I thought they only knew how to ride in the mud over there.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
rain.
That's right. And Wilson also spent some time riding in Canada, and of course now lives in California, although he has really stepped up his game since hanging out with Chad Reed down in Florida. So maybe this guy's just more comfortable. He's got to move more. Every time he moves somewhere, he seems to get better.
And I believe that riding with Michael Byrne and Jason Thompson, Chad Reed down there at Reed's compound, that the conversations, the things that happen during the week that we don't see on TV here, the lap after lap and motos and everything that goes on, I believe that Chad and those other riders have been a good influence on Dean. Obviously, here late in the season, he definitely mentally has been strong, and he's been focused, he's been confident, and he's rode this whole moto here, every lap in the lead. I mean, effortlessly, just brilliant.
And also, he's having a good time. Erin has touched on this a couple times when she's been down to the pits talking to the Kawasaki guys at the beginning of the day, how much fun Wilson seems to be having these last couple of weeks. He maybe was a little stressed out, not getting that victory early in the year, but Erin, definite attitude adjustment for Dean Wilson as of late, huh?
It was actually kind of comical to even listen, but he had rode by the Geico Honda team, and he was like, come on, guys, let's go riding, let's go, let's go. He was all amped up and ready to go, and actually the Geico team had to start laughing. They're like, what do they think? There's a championship right now. Does he think we're going to go ride in Glamis? But that's the attitude, the lucky go happy attitude that Dean Wilson is riding with right now.
The luck of the Scottish. That makes sense?
Yeah,
I just missed that geographically, sorry.
Yeah, I want to see him racing a kilt next year. That'd be cool.
Well, he might have something to celebrate because the title is coming closer and closer into focus as he's about to win the first moto here at Steel City. And the riders he's battling for the title with, Tyla Rattray, Blake Baggett, are not on the podium. Checkered flag is out. Dean Wilson has got the first moto at Steel City, and he made that one look easy and
yeah, he did.
Fun, I guess. But this guy, looking for a top 3 in the Red Bull KTM, the Frenchman, Marvin Musquin. Gotta be happy with that. Good progress. He lost a lot of ground early in the year with that broken thumb, and when everyone else is racing, getting faster, stronger, improving their bikes, improving their fitness, he was probably just watching our TV show. So good to see the number 125 turning it around.
You can learn a lot by watching.
Well, if you give away your darn secrets.
Yeah.
Which...
Not for free.
Not for free, okay. Maybe just call Jeff Hemming. So we'll talk to Marvin when it's over. And don't forget Eli Tomac, who finished up in the number 2 position. It's Dean Wilson really rallying late in this 2011 tour, trying to lock down a big championship.
Every rider is measured by victory.
Welcome back to Steel City, not too far away from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Fans here are fired up after a great 250 Moto number 1. Let's send it down to Erin with your race winner.
8 Moto wins now for Dean Wilson. And Dean, we're watching you. It looks as though you're just riding loose. You're having some fun out there. Are you as comfortable as what you look like right now?
Yeah, I was actually really tight at the beginning. You know, it's a track where you don't want to try too hard. You just want to relax and you know, don't try too hard. And that's what I was trying to do, but at the first like 5-6 laps, I actually had arm pump, and then it went away, and I felt a lot looser. So yeah, I mean, I got a great start. I just ripped the whole shot. I felt so good to get a nice whole shot again, and that definitely makes your life so much easier. I mean, I had some pressure from, I don't know who was behind me, but he got really close, and then I kind of had to get going a little bit, but I'm just really happy to get that win. And me and Blake are tied Moto wins, so I mean, I have 1 overall, but I have 8 Moto wins, so you know, that's nice to have. And then, yeah, just got to give up to everybody. Monster Energy, Pro Circuit, Kawasaki, Thor, Dunlop, Parts Unlimited, Scott, Vans, Volcom, man, everybody, my mom and dad, Alpine Stars, Toyo Escondido, Sam for coming with me, my mechanic Paul, he's done a great job. Everybody, thank you so much.
Congratulations on your hard work paying off.
Well, now you know who won the first moto. Let's show the other 39 riders and where they finished. Tomac 2nd, Musquin is 3rd. Rattray holds off Baggett. That's 4th and 5th. Bogle, he was the man that Wilson did not realize was challenging him for the number 1 spot early. He ends up 6th. Swanepoel, Stewart, Durham, and Martin in the top 10. So Durham just edges out his teammate. Here is 11 through 20. Martin Davalos riding without a tooth after a rock knocked one out at Unadilla a few weeks ago. Finishes at 11th. Kyle Peters in his first pro race was 16th. Gannon Audette, our Fuel TV 1 to watch, ends up in 13th. Just outside of the points are these riders from 21 through 30. First pro race ever for Chris Plouffe on the KTM. He finishes in 30th. Ryan Sipes, who was up front early, ends up in 31st. Let's send it back down to Erin.
Dean Wilson said that he wasn't sure who was applying the pressure. Well, it was this guy right here, Eli Tomac. Eli, you had said this morning that today is all about revenge and that you were not going to be satisfied with anything less than a podium. This has got to be a good start to the day for you.
Yeah, last week was definitely a bummer at Southwick. You know, I went 1-1 in the practices, was feeling awesome, and just had a little black cloud on me in the motos. But you know, this week, yeah, I finally got a good start and just made it happen. Came through the pack well, and my whole Geico Honda team was ripping.
Congratulations on your first moto.
Hey, don't miss the promoto of the Moto Inside the Outdoors. That's next Saturday, September 10th, right after our live first Moto coverage from Pala Raceway of this Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. The Moto Inside the Outdoors, it gives you an inside look and the real story behind the ride. Again, that's next Saturday, September 10th at 6 Eastern and 3 Pacific on Fuel TV. We go behind the scenes with the riders, the teams, the mechanics, the family members. It's a great look at the sport. Let's send it back down to Aaron.
It's only been 4 races since Marvin has returned to racing since your thumb injury, but Marvin, this is the first time that you've made it up onto the podium in the U.S. How does this feel?
Yeah, finally on the podium. It's like the first moto, but yeah, it's good finally. And I worked hard since last December, and I had 2 surgery and injury, so it's pretty hard to be back. But this track is awesome, and I felt pretty good, and I did the second lap, faster lap time at the practice, and I did get a really good start and around the top 10. But it was tough because it's really warm and humid, and it's not like that in Europe. So for me, it's pretty hard, but it's like this for everybody. And I would like to thank my team, the Red Bull KTM team, and all the people around me. They are working very hard for me, and I have an awesome bike. So I just need a good start, and I can do another podium or even first.
And congratulations on a job well done.
And that's the man that won the MX2 championship in Europe the last 2 years. Came over here to the U.S. and unfortunately, as he said, has endured 2 different surgeries that have really prevented his learning curve from really taking off the way he'd want. So better luck next year for him, and maybe he could contend for this American championship. We'll be right back here on Fuel TV to wrap up our first motos from Steel City.
You ready?
Welcome back. It's the next to last round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from Steel City in Delmont, Pennsylvania. Fuel TV's live coverage continues. We just wrapped up our first 250 class moto of the day. We'll give you the race recap and show you how it turned out. Starts, of course, ultra critical in any motocross race, but it's going to have a big bearing on how this one broke down. Specifically, Dean Wilson going to grab the whole shot on the number 15, but pressure being applied early by the 891, a rookie Honda rider, Justin Bogle.
Yeah, and he was followed up by Sipes was in there early in the moto, putting on a strong ride.
But how about Bogle trying to take the lead away from Wilson? Wilson's your series points leader. Bogle's in only his 3rd pro race. Looked good for a while, but then his teammate Eli Tomac catches up.
Yeah, watch Tomac around the outside right here, puts the power to the ground, carries a little more momentum, and gets the inside line on his rookie teammate here, Justin Bogle, and takes the position as they go down this drop-off and into the left-hander.
So Bogle gave him a good fight, but Tomac is eventually able to put his Honda into the number 2 spot. But he was not going to catch Wilson. About the midway point, he really built a lead, and he goes on to win by 9.9 seconds and further extends his series lead. He is closing in on a championship that seemed impossible to predict just a few weeks ago, but Wilson has really turned it up in the latter stages of the year. Aaron Bates, what's your final thoughts here after a great set of motos early today?
Unbelievable what we have just witnessed happen already today, but when I just spoke with Dean Wilson as he was coming off of the podium, he said mentally he is in a different place than he has ever been before. He's relaxed, he's happy, he's going back to doing what he knows how to do best, that's to ride and have some fun, and he's definitely showing that here at Steel City today.
Wow. The more fun you are, the more serious apparently you are about racing, and the more serious you are about winning this championship. He's closing in on it, and you might just see Wilson and someone in the 450 class wrap up these championships live on Fuel TV or Speed next weekend. That's every moto live from our Traxxas Pala National finale. That's 4 p.m. on Fuel and 7 p.m. on Speed Eastern Time. Every moto live for your championship finale. And don't forget tonight, our second motos from right here at Steel City, back-to-back 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Speed. So big thanks to the folks from Fuel TV for our live first moto coverage all year, for our same day and some live coverage on Speed as well. It has been a great season so far, and it is not over yet. If you can't make it to Pala, be sure to join us on Fuel TV next week as we close in on one of the most dramatic championship tours we've ever seen. For Jeff Emig and Aaron Bates, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching from Steel City, and congratulations to our first moto winners, Ryan Filippoto and Dean Wilson.
Kawasaki's Dean Wilson survived Southwick. Even the threat of a hurricane could not derail the likable Scotsman's charge to his first championship. Wilson comes to Steel City within reach of the coveted AMA title. Just 2 rounds remain in the 2011 250 campaign. Round 11 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is set to get underway from Delmont, Pennsylvania.
The motocross fans of Western Pennsylvania have gathered for the next to last round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship in the 250 class. It's the Steel City National from Delmont, Pennsylvania. And we've got our first race already complete today. A big step forward for the championship for one rider. And it starts with a big step forward off the start. Dean Wilson, the number 15, is going to control it and grab your early lead. But he's under pressure from a rookie, Justin Bogle, Jeff.
Yeah, Justin Bogle on that Geico Honda got a third place start, but then he really put the pressure on. Watch right here as Bogle tries to go around the outside of the points leader with the red plate. It's incredible aggression there from the rookie.
Trouble for a Broc Tickle. That's Wilson's teammate. He would have some equipment problems. Wasn't able to finish that one. Similar trouble for Jimmy Dakotas. So this track doesn't care what brand or manufacturer is putting your bike together. Then we get a battle between the teammates.
Yeah, here, look at Eli Tomac, second-year rider, making his way around the rookie. And this was late in the moto there. It seemed like Tomac had just a little bit of extra energy and fitness.
So Tomac on the 19 is going to just edge out the 891, his teammate, to take over second. But there was no catching Dean Wilson, who wins the first moto. He has that red number plate of the bike because he's your series points leader, and he's looking to extend that lead today. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Steel City. Of course, Jason Wygant and Jeff Emig, your 4-time AMA National Champion, here to break it down. Let's give you the big picture storylines that we're looking at as we come to Steel City. First, Dean Wilson. He's got momentum, looking good as far as the points are in the series. He could potentially even wrap it up today if his competitors falter just a little bit. And he's helped his own cause by winning the first moto at Steel City a little bit earlier. And his teammates, Tyla Rattray and Blake Baggett, finish a few positions further back. If that happens again here, Wilson will wrap up the title here at the next to last round. And he doesn't appear to be feeling the championship pressure at all, Jeff. He's been very relaxed the last couple of weeks. And the more relaxed he gets, the better he seems to ride.
Happy racer, happy rider, right? I mean,
right.
You know, when they when things are just going right and you're just flowing your turns, it just seems like that you can do no wrong. Dean Wilson put on a spectacular ride that first moto, and he's getting close. And like you said, he's not really thinking about it. He's just focusing on the task at hand. And for right now, it's the second moto. Get a good start and control the race, and you never know, he may wrap it up.
Yeah, and it's amazing he has this lead because just a few weeks ago, this title was too close to call. He's really pulled away from the pack late in the year. For more, let's send it down to Aaron Bates with a Progressive pre-race report.
Martin Davalos has been extremely insecure about his smile ever since the first lap of practice at Unadilla when a rock knocked out one of his front teeth. You'll take a look on his butt patch this weekend. It is a toothless smiley face. Martin has he's had to go in and get himself implant put in, but right now he's just got a temporary, and he told a pretty funny story this morning when yesterday at the Atlanta airport he took his retainer out to put his fake tooth on his lap, and when he stood up it ended up getting kicked around like a hockey puck down the Atlanta airport. Obviously he's cleaned it up, his smile is intact, he's having a little fun with it now that the damage is done.
That's not something that you count on. I mean, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, he had to. Wow. He was able to clean that thing off. So that's Martin, who had a tooth was knocked out by a rock at Unadilla. Here's your race breakdown. I'll show you exactly how it goes. We have 2 races, one that's already complete and one that's about to run, 40 riders in each. And then we total up the scores from both of those races to determine an overall winner for the day. And each race lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps. Riders look pretty relaxed down there at the line, but they're just kidding themselves because they've got a really rough track ahead of them. Let's give you the track map brought to you by Kawasaki's all-new KX450F, which is fully equipped and race ready. Jeff?
Long track here at Steel City. Clay, hard clay. I'm telling you, it's going to be hard packed in certain spots. To put down a little bit of water again. It's going to be really slippery in others. There's these turning rhythm sections that they have to deal with. A lot of undulation here, a lot of uphill, downhill, and a tremendous amount of off-camber turns. And that's going to make it tough here, especially late here in the second moto. The track's going to be rough. Some of the ruts are going to be nasty. But overall, it's a really fun track, and the riders really like it here. Lap time up over 2.5 minutes.
That makes it one of the longer tracks this year. Here's what it looks like on board with another one of the new kids, Jeff.
Kyle Peters, DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha. This is earlier in the day in qualifying practice, and I can tell you the track does not look like this anymore. This is nice and moist, and it's got the mulch out there. It's pretty smooth here for Kyle in his first professional race ever. You can see him tiptoeing through the inside. This section is choppy and rutted all the way through over that Toyota truck's downhill jump. And I tell you, this is going to be Moto 2 for Peters. And he was 15th in the first Moto. His goal needs to be to put the Yamaha up inside the top 10 here in Moto 2.
It's his first pro race. He and Justin Bogle, who we mentioned earlier during our first Moto highlights, were supposed to make their debuts together a couple of weeks ago at Unadilla, but Peters had a back injury, so he took a few weekends off, and he's ready to go. Give us the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com keys to the race here, Jeff.
Yeah, well, this can apply to everyone. Get the start. Get out there. Make life easy. Traction control. You got to be good with the throttle. You got to shift at the right times. Not rev the bike out too much on those off cambers. And fitness. It is hot and it is humid. I mean, we go outside of our air-conditioned booth here, and it's like, it's going to be a tough second moto. And Dean Wilson wants to wrap up this championship. He needs to get that start and control the race, just like he did in Moto 1, where he led wire to wire.
If he wins this one, and Rattray on the 28 and the 57 at Baggett finish out of the top 3, I believe that will be enough for him to wrap it up. We'll keep tabs on it throughout this race to see if Wilson can lock up his first major professional championship right here, or see if it'll go down to our finale next weekend all the way in the left coast in California. But first, let's go racing in Pennsylvania. Start about to get started. They're pushing and shoving. I think it's the KTM of Marvin Musquin, who's got the whole shot and bumping around with Wilson on the 15.
Wilson was second. Now he's first. Your points leader back out front once again.
He's definitely feeling it. Musquin is now in a second. And is that another Geico Honda with a good start? Yes, but it's Eli Tomac, who has not been the rider on that team getting the good start. Seems like every other rider on that team has started up front besides him. He is third.
1110 mods have Alex Martin represented. He's in fourth.
Remember what Martin did last week? Had a good start like this and led for a while. He's up with the leaders again. Then you got 35 of Kyle Cunningham, and I think it's Rattray coming through as well. But your leader is Dean Wilson, putting himself right where he wants to be.
It looks like Baggett is the second pro circuit rider, and 2 positions behind him is Rattray.
Wow, okay, so Rattray even further back. Here is Tomac taking the measure of Musquin. So Tomac, I'm sure he wants to prove that he can run with those Kawasaki's. He would love to get a Moto win.
Well, if Tomac can nab the Moto win, that would give him the overall. He was second in Moto 1.
Good point.
Okay, and Pro Circuit Kawasaki has won every overall this season. Up until last week, they had won every Moto. Just an incredible performance for the team. But you know, the competition here between the Geico Honda and the Monster Energy Kawasaki, it's intense, okay? And Tomac has been struggling all year. He's been off the pace of the leader, but today he seems fired up. Is this the day where Honda finally beats the Kawasaki's?
No excuses. Tomac's where he wants to be, able to challenge Wilson. You think they water that section?
Short line.
He goes to the inside. I didn't think that was going to work.
Whoa.
Tomac might have the pass made, and he does. So Tomac passes your series points leader and first Moto winner. He didn't care about momentum or statistics. He just wants to win.
Well, and what Tomac has on his side is that Wilson, it's not a do-or-die situation. He doesn't have to win this Moto, okay? So he doesn't have to necessarily, you know, go for broke in this. And so if I'm Tomac, I'm going to take advantage of that, right? I'm going to ride him hard if I have to, you know. But that was a great pass by Eli. He really, it looked like he made a little mistake going into that section, but took the short line, and it worked for him.
Hey, you mentioned the rivalry between these two teams, the Honda boys and the Kawasaki guys. So you don't think it's lost on Tomac that that team is yet to win a race this year? He knows the mission right now.
You know, I spoke with their team manager, Mike LaRocco, before the race today, and he spoke about how he's moving back to California. They know that there's some issues that they have to address and some things that they're working on. And when it comes to hard work and dedication, they have a leader there with Mike LaRocco that, I mean, this guy's multi-time motocross champion. I mean, he's definitely an ally for their team.
I'm happy to hear that you and LaRocco are on speaking terms.
Yeah, of course.
The whole racing rivalry, that's all done, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Wilson, rivalry is still brewing here between these two. He wants to get Tomac back. We got a good race going on.
Well, that's not to say if we got on the line that it would
go right back
up.
Okay.
Racers are racers, Weege. Okay?
All right, so that's the deal with Wilson and Tomac right now. It's the next generation of Larocco and Emick battling for the #1 spot here at Steel City. This is what they call the Sky Coaster, a bunch of double jumps winding up and down a hill.
Hey, you know, I know we're only one lap into this race, and there's a lot of racing to go, but I was on the same flight as Tomac when we flew into the Pittsburgh airport. When we landed, the pilot says, and the time is 2:43. And I look back at Eli's dad, John, because 2:43 was his amateur number. And we all kind of looked at each other like, oh.
Good omen.
Is that an omen?
Maybe.
You never know.
In fact, he's pulling away a little bit from Wilson right now. So apparently when Wilson landed, they did not say the time is 15. It doesn't work that way. Maybe on military time. But you're right, Wilson has to think about this. He doesn't need to beat Tomac as far as the points. The championship is the big picture. But you know he wants to win the race, so what's the strategy here if you're Wilson in second? Are you happy with this or not?
Ride smart.
You're going to stay focused on the title. All right, these fans are getting to hang out in the Traxxas area, getting to see what these machines can do off the track as we watch what these dirt bikes can do on it. Stay with us here at Steel City. Well, Eli Tomac has taken this race by storm. It's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from Steel City in Pennsylvania. We expected Tomac to be winning races and running up front all season long. It has not panned out that way. He's way back in the series standings, eliminated from championship contention, but now finally starting to feel it. Dean Wilson is second, and here's another rider that we thought would be a contender all year long. Marvin Musquin, the Frenchman, who won a bunch of titles in Europe before moving over to the U.S. this year. Unfortunately, his series has been interrupted by a broken thumb. And now that he's back, well, he's back up front. How about Alex Martin? What a run this kid has had as of late, the privateer.
Well, yeah, he always has a great ride at Millville, which is his home track. His family owns the track. And then last week at Southwick, in the sand, he has a great ride. And then the question was, okay, on those two sandy-type tracks, he's got it. But how can he perform on a hard pack track that's really rutted? A totally different track. I mean, just a totally 180. And here in the second moto, he's got a great start. He was 10th in the first moto, which is a great ride. And now he runs fourth in this one. That could put him in the top 5, possibly in the overall.
We'll see how long he can hold it because Blake Baggett is all over him here. And Baggett needs to move forward. He's got to try to find some way to get to Wilson. Although, I don't know if that's going to happen. Baggett still unable to make the pass. I'll tell you what, you can't help but cheer for Alex Martin, one of the nicest kids out there. And of course, we know well the story this year of this team, 1110 Mods. Very low budget operation, not much support. Although they did get some help today. Oh, Baggett comes off the motorcycle. And the machine nearly getting run over. He's in a very precarious spot at the landing of a jump.
Looks like he's all right. There's his, actually Wilson's a mechanic looking on, all of the pro circuit riders, but this is going to be devastating for Blake Baggett in the championship chase. It's going to put him way back right now. Try to get an idea of where he's at when we see another rider.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, he's certainly dropped out of the top 10. That's a 2:45 of Lance Vincent. And we're thinking around 15th or so. So yeah, devastating. That might officially eliminate Baggett from the championship mathematically going this far back.
Well, good thing is that he's all right. It looks like the bike didn't get banged up too bad, and he's back on the charge, but boy, that's going to be frustrating.
Just strange how the second half of this series has gone for Baggett. About midway through, he was the man to beat in this tour with a bunch of wins, but then things have been going like this.
Watch this, he hits that Rockstar, that banner right there. He got too far to his left, and he didn't just clip it with the left-hand handlebar. I mean, he plowed into it, and that's because, once again, like I spoke at the top of the show about the off cambers on this track and how you're always fighting, you're on the edge of the tire and you're always fighting against the camber, and he faded too far to the left before that double. He's lucky that he got off easy because, I mean, you could go flying through the air right there, and this hard clay, it has no cushion when you hit the ground. without the bike.
Yeah, impressive that Baggett's machine or himself did not incur any damage. So he's able to start working his way forward again. And earlier in the year, like I was saying, we were calling him the El Chupacabra. You put it back in 15th place, no problem. He would just pass his way through. Here he is making a move on Vincent. Here's another look at the crash.
Yeah, watch right here. He gets wide, and you can tell he sees the track, but that Rockstar thing was it's about 3 feet off of the lip, right? So he's focused on, look at the bottom corner right there where the riders are going off. Rattray went off the same line, but he was leaned to his right. Okay. Well, Baggett was stood up going through that same line, and that big can there was in the way.
Wow. The can, though, able to survive.
Yeah.
Solid. Thought we might have an explosion of Rockstar energy drink.
The battle's not just between the riders, but it's the Rockstar and the Monster going after it.
Let's see who Baggett's closing in on now. That's Ryan Sipes right in front of him. Hey, here are your leaders. Dean Wilson hanging around. And you see Bones Bacon there of his Pro Circuit team cheering him on. Wilson still has a shot at this one.
Jason, he's not just hanging around. He just turned the fastest lap of the Moto. Wilson did. 2:31.8 to Tomac's 2:32.4.
Check out the championship scenario at the top of the screen. We've done some math. If it ends like this, Tyla Rattray will be exactly 51 points behind Dean Wilson. That's the magic number. Wilson needs a 51-point lead to wrap up the title today. And if it ended like this, that's exactly what he would have. And he would have the #1 plate as your new 250 class champion. But I don't think he's thinking about titles right now. He just wants to try to get back past Eli Tomac and take the win. This is a great race here in Steel City.
It's why they race. It's the playoffs, and there's no time.
Martin trying to make moves, trying to put his machine up toward the podium. And Rattray! Whoa!
That looked familiar.
Somewhat, but there was a difference when Ryan Moto made that pass on a 450. I don't think the green bike went onto the green grass. Martin's not happy about it. He's trying to come back.
As he should. He's putting in a great ride. That's going to put him back to 5th.
Whoa, we got a change for the lead. Dean Wilson has passed Eli Tomac, and we saw as we were going to break, he was closing back in. So something has changed here on the midway point of this moto, and Tomac is losing speed here, not nearly as aggressive through this section as he was earlier.
Yeah, Wilson was 0.8 of a second quicker than Tomac that last lap around, and you can tell now he's got that mojo working.
Yeah, and just more of an enigmatic season for Tomac. We were waiting for him to catch fire. It looked like he finally had, and now Wilson has extinguished it. We'll see if he can hang with him.
So, did Dean Wilson land in Pittsburgh at 1:15?
That's gonna because if it ends like this, well, how about that? Rattray just made up 2 points by making that move on Martin, but Wilson just made up 3 by passing Tomac for the lead. So Wilson's still in championship position. On September 22nd, Barrett Jackson, the collector car event that makes the automotive dreams come true, returns to Sin City. So see the finest, rarest, most amazing cars on the planet, all in one place and all up for grabs. Live coverage from Vegas begins September 22nd at 4 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. So Tomac going to try to stay with Wilson and remount the charge, but the way Wilson caught it and passed him, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but we haven't quite been able to figure out Tomac this entire season.
Still a great ride. I mean, he's putting in a solid ride, and I mean, halfway through this moto, if he can regroup right here, if Wilson makes any sort of mistake, the 19 of Eli Tomac, he could be in the position to win the overall here. Also, look at the names across the top there. That's your running order, and Baggett is only in 13th after that big crash. It seemed like he was on the ground forever.
Send it down to Aaron for a report on Tomac.
Well, guys, like I said before, he is one of those guys that said it's nothing but revenge showing up here today. He said that after Redbud's crash and after suffering from some heat exhaustion throughout the summer, he just has not been himself. Last weekend when he showed up, he said he was prepared, he was ready to win. That didn't happen with 2 bad motos last weekend. It was all about revenge coming in, and I think we're seeing him demonstrate that now.
Yeah, he's still close there, and it's only 1.7 seconds the difference between Tomac and Wilson. And it's funny how quickly the roles reverse in this game. Coming into this motocross tour from Supercross, Tomac nearly won a championship, and Wilson struggled a little bit in comparison, so a lot of people thought, including myself, that maybe Tomac was the favorite. The very first moto of the year, Tomac got the whole shot, started to pull away. Thought that was going to be a sign of things to come, and Dean Wilson reeled him in, passed him, and took the moto win. And since then, Tomac has been trying to replicate that, trying to figure out a way to get back up front. He was for a moment here, but Wilson has overtaken him again.
I'll tell you, when a guy is just in that mode like Wilson's in right now, it's just, they're just so hard to beat. He's riding so fluid and just flawless right now, and he just seems to carry his momentum. You know, Aaron mentioned how Tomac is like revenge, and it's like, oh, I want this so bad. And it's kind of hard in that because your mind isn't flowing, things aren't free. But for Wilson, it's the exact opposite. I mean, he looks great again this moto.
So Tomac, he's still there. Like we said, it's less than 2 seconds. If Wilson makes a mistake, Eli could get him back. And the championship hangs in the balance. If Tomac can pass Wilson back, then Wilson may not have enough points to wrap up the title today. So a lot of racing left, and we'll also be burning up some calculators here as we keep track of the championship chase. Pro Circuit mechanics, they're trying to figure the math out as well.
This is a bad habit. This is a good habit.
Motocross riders tearing up this Steel City facility. Next to last round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Myself and Jeff Emming and Aaron Bates have been breaking down and analyzing the way this track has changed throughout the day, but let's let the riders talk about it.
Steel City, another one of my favorites. It's dirt's a lot like home, and I feel like the track flows good and it's fun, and it's something you can do for 35 minutes and not get bored.
Everybody seems to go really fast there. It's just for some reason, just everybody goes fast.
I like that track. Had the turn doubles. That was one of my favorites. I don't know, it's almost like a little supercross. You know, you double, then you turn again and double.
The one double going into the turn, like you have to like land with your foot out. That one's a cool double, and then yeah, those tabletops too are fun. You know, they're really floaty.
It's pretty crazy, and it's a really different track, but it's fun to ride.
Obviously, it gets a really rocky surface, you could say.
You know, it's one of those tracks when it rains there, it's slick. It's really slick.
As long as it doesn't rain, it's good. But if it rains, it's like riding on snot.
And a battle going on here on this track that didn't have any rain put down on it, so it wasn't super slippery. Broc Tickle battling it out right now with Justin Bogle to try to get inside the top 5. He's the 6th at the moment. Tickle, there's been 3 riders on the Pro Circuit team that have been winning all the races that are dominating the series, and then there's Tickle, who already got a title earlier this year in Supercross, but has just not had things go his way in motocross, Jeff.
Yeah, and he had a DNF in the first moto. Not sure what happened, but I think it's hard to come back after you don't finish the moto to come back and put in a strong ride, but he is at this point. I mean, he's up to 6th, turning pretty good lap time at 36, and everybody else around him is 3 or 4 seconds a lap slower than that. So Tickle strong here late in this moto.
And with or without a front tooth, Martin Davalos running well here in the number 7 spot. We mentioned at the top of the show, he actually had a rock hit him in the face a couple of weeks ago at a race at Unadilla and knocked a tooth out. And he's just persevering through the pain, even finished that moto.
Well, and then the replacement tooth almost got lost in the airport, right? So that's...
Sure, that thing was not quite germ-free.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, whoa.
He's missing the turn here. Didn't even make a very strong effort.
Yeah.
That could be you know, one of those advanced moves right there.
Missing teeth, okay. Missing turns, not as acceptable. We'll see if there's a ruling on that later. There is a Baggett who's worked his way forward. He has gotten around Bogle. Talk about this kid. The rookie has shown great speed here in his 3rd pro race ever. Hasn't been able to maintain that speed all the way to the end, but there's a big transition to racing much longer races as a pro, and I would think also more intense as well. I mean, these guys are going to push you every minute.
Yeah, he's way off the pace right now. He was at 2:47, you know, a good 10 to 12 seconds off that lap. I'm not sure something's not a matter either with him or the bike there.
And Kyle Cunningham had a great string going of 4th place finishes, have been very consistent through the mid part of this tour. Had a rough one at Southwick last week with a couple of crashes. Inside the top 10 here, trying to rebuild the effort.
Yeah, and Cunningham's actually 4th in points, so he's the first non-pro circuit Kawasaki rider in the championship.
And next in line, I believe, is Jason Anderson. You talk about rebuilding the effort. This was the super hyped rookie at the beginning of this year. They thought he would be up there, maybe winning races like Eli Tomac did last year, like Justin Barcia did the year before. It hasn't worked. I talked to Anderson this morning. I said, "Are you feeling better?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What's the difference?" And he said, I've never heard a rider admit this. He said, "At the beginning of the year, I was a head case." But he was a head case. It was past tense. Was. Apparently past that. He has, the last 3 rounds, including this one, started to hover closer to the top 10, starting to turn things around. But when the standard is set like Tomac did last year by winning his first race, it's a tough one to live up to. Cole Seeley, who we heard from earlier, talking about this track on the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda. And Seeley, it seems like anyone who had a great lights supercross campaign has struggled outdoors. I don't understand that. But Seeley won a bunch of races. Tickle obviously a title. Tomac won some races. Justin Barcia won the East Coast title. Not even in this 250 class any longer. Was struggling, and they just decided to move up to another class altogether. What's up with that?
Yeah, you can tell Seeley right now. He looks a little fatigued at this point. We still have 6.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go, and I think the humidity has got to some of these riders here today.
Yeah, you can tell by the posture of him and Bogle and some others. It's tough, but
not that aggressive.
This is arguably the most physically enduring sport of all, so I guess we should cut him a break.
With victory, the proof isn't in what we say, it's in what we do.
AMA Pro Motocross Championship is... Well, Dean Wilson pulling away now. 7.3 seconds is the gap between himself and Eli Tomac, and this could just be enough to not only win the race today, but also wrap up the championship. And I know I've said this about 5 times already. I cannot believe someone is in position to wrap this title up a race early. This title fight was so close just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I'll tell you, Dean Wilson, he came here to Steel City fully equipped and race ready.
Ah, nice.
Ready to lock down this title. That early moto charge by Eli Tomac looked like he might get the overall, get it done, but Wilson responded almost with relative ease. He's just riding flawlessly.
And for Dean to be his first major professional championship, it would certainly not be the first for his team, who ever since they switched over to these 4-stroke bikes, I think they've won, this would be 5 out of 7 championships for them. And it keeps their undefeated streak in the races going.
Overalls, yeah.
Overalls, yeah. They did lose a moto last week, but they have won all 10 overalls in all 10 rounds this year, and they're looking to go 11 out of 11.
And let's go back 1 week to when Dean Wilson's bike was spewing out all that coolant.
Oh, good point.
Right?
Yes.
And what could have been if the motorcycle had not made it to the checkered flag? It was easily 3 laps that the bike had to run without that. You know, at times with other bikes and other manufacturers this year, the bike has not made it through for the rider. And it just seems like when things are going your way, you know, I mean,
yeah, and it's going
your time.
his way. It's going his way now, yeah, and maybe that's the difference between he and Tomac in this moto. Wilson's just riding the mojo. Now, Wilson did know that today could be the day to win the championship, and we had a chance to talk to him earlier about wrapping up that title.
As of right now, I mean, it's pretty hard not to think about the championship. We're definitely getting closer, 2 rounds away, and you know, I'm still going to stick to my plan. That's what's been working for me. You know, just go moto by moto, and hopefully, you know, make it happen.
Well, he's on the way to doing that.
Yeah, so Dean's doing everything that he needs to do, and that's go win the race. You can do no more. The difference is Tyla Rattray, who sets 2nd in points, he needs to get the 3rd place. The problem is that Marvin Musquin from France is about, let's call it 10 seconds in front of him and appears to be pulling away even. So Rattray, if he wants to keep this thing going and have any chance, which it's a long shot at this point, right, he's got to pass Marvin and get up into 3rd, but time is running out. 1 minute. And next time around, Dean Wilson will get the 2-lap board and then the white flag. And then you start to think. Then it starts to hit you.
So you've been here at this track.
I'm at this track. And when you make that final turn, I'm telling you, if he wraps this thing up, if the points work out here, and he makes that final left-hander and looks at that checkered flag, it's going to be a huge moment for Dean.
And what a relief, because last year we saw what could happen at the finale. If it goes down to the last round, bad things can happen. Christophe Pourcel had a little bit of a points lead going into the finale last year and crashed out. Trey Canard ended up taking the title. So Wilson knows the difference between having a 49-point lead at the end of the day and having to race next week, and having a 51-point lead and not having to is massive. So Wilson possibly headed to his first career championship. This will be a big one, so don't go anywhere.
A race at Richmond International Raceway isn't like other races.
Speed Motorcycle text alerts powered by Yamaha. Get the latest moto racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, sent right to your phone. Just text MOTO, that's M-O-T-O, to SPEED and the number 3. SPEED 3 for the alerts. Do it now. You'll get the alerts after this race. Dean Wilson on the verge of a championship here, and Jeff, you know firsthand, in this sport, you cannot make it on your own. You can maybe pick up a basketball and go down to the court by yourself as a kid, or a baseball bat, or a football. To get a dirt bike to the track, you need some help from mom and dad. Here's Rattray, the guys chasing him at points, may come up a few spots short. Talk about the family effort, by the way, for the Wilsons, and for Rattray as well, to get to this level.
Yeah, I mean, every one of these riders has been supported by their parents to race the sport of motocross. And I can tell you, we're a lap and a half away from Dean wrapping up his first professional title. And when we're in the break, I started thinking about it. Thinking about 1992 when I was able to win this class, won it in the final race, and what it meant to my family. And I, thinking about all of the hard work and the sacrifice. I mean, for Wilson, his family came from Scotland. Yep. They go to Canada, he races there, then they finally make their way to the United States. And it's not just the rider, it's the team and everybody, around them that sacrifices and works hard. Dean's mom and dad, very, very involved, in his racing. And I mean, the title, it's going to say Dean Wilson, but it's the Wilson family. It's that effort. And that is just such a cool part, is to be able to share all of this with those people that are close to you. And on the first one, it is very much a payoff for all of the sacrifice, financially, time, personal, all that stuff that the family has put into it for their son.
Yeah, they are there every step of the way as we head into the last lap. His mom's here at every race. His dad is here at most of them. And they are a great family and a hilarious family to talk to. Aaron, you've gotten to hang out with them throughout the year down in the pit area. They're a great group.
They're definitely a great family. In fact, I was just taking a look for them, and come to find out they're not here this weekend.
What?
They are driving, believe it or not, from Chad Reed's house all the way to Pala to be there for next weekend in case he's to win this championship. It's a very sad deal, but they'll be very excited to know that he'll take this home.
Somebody stop him. Get on the brakes. Halt it.
Yeah, once again, in '92 when I won my first title, I chose not to have my father, brother, sister, anyone there. I wanted it to be business usual. As you know, I was locked up in a serious battle. Whoa, Wilson takes a quick ride. I was locked up in a serious battle with Mike LaRocco, and I needed to be focused, okay, just like Mitch Payton is right here.
Yeah, he's the owner of the team, yep.
But I can tell you, the parents, obviously, they're going to be on Twitter, on text, cell phones, everything. And once he hits this checkered flag, once he gets to make that call,
and you look at Mitch Payton over there, you think of a lot of dynasties in motorsports. In the motocross terms, I don't think you can argue this is the most successful team. Over 200 victories for this team over the last 20 years, which is crazy. That's 10 a year. There's Mitch right there in the foreground. And, he's, Rick Hendricks dominating NASCAR racing the last couple of years, all the titles of Jimmy Johnson or what Roger Penske has done in IndyCar racing. This is essentially the equivalent of that in motocross. And what's interesting about that team, that is an aftermarket performance shop. They don't just build these team bikes. If you have a Suzuki or a Honda or a KTM or a Yamaha, they'll build bikes for you. And a lot of the other teams, including that Geico Honda team, leans on Pro Circuit to build their bikes. And although it does seem strange, why would you have your engines built by the team you're trying to race? often there is no better alternative. Pro circuit, you know they're going to give you great stuff. Now, the last 2 years they've been upset. They nearly won the title with Christophe Pourcel, but he just missed it. Ryan Dungey got it in 09, and Trey Canard got it in 2010, but they are going to lock it down, not just first, but second and third in the series, and they've already clinched that with a race to go. But here it is, folks. Dean Wilson's long journey from Scotland through Canada to the United States and to the American Motocross Tour is about to conclude with his first career championship. You hear the crowd come to life. How could you not salute this kid? One of the nicest riders in the game, a fun guy to talk to, and now your 2011 250 Motocross champion. This all, of course, unofficial, as you see at the top of the screen, depends on where Tomac, Musquin, and Rattray end up. But we believe if Rattray does finish fourth, that will be the difference in the series. And those riders are still headed toward the finish line. I think it's over.
Marvin Musquin was third.
And you hear Wilson revving the bike out, coming down in his mechanic, Paul Parabinos, and Chad Reed, who's the man who helped train Wilson the last couple of weeks down in his house in Florida. They have got the championship. Dean Wilson has arrived in American Motocross, and we will talk to our champion when we come back.
From groundbreaking motocross technology.
Lap here for Dean Wilson, who has won the race and the championship in the 250 class of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Let's give you your Lucas Oil race recap and show you how Wilson was able to get the job done. Off the start, Marvin Musquin, the Frenchman, on the 125 KTM, the number 125, gets the lead, but quickly Wilson goes to the number 1 spot, and you're thinking, well, he's points leader, he won the first race earlier today, he's going to check out, right? No. Challenge to the number 19 of Eli Tomac on the Honda.
And watch Eli, he's got the short line, and watch this effort right here. He's going for it and just sneaks around the inside of Dean Wilson.
So Tomac's got the lead, and Wilson, worried about the championship, we thought he might back it down a little bit. And then Blake Baggett hits something on the side of the track. It goes down, and that would essentially drop him far enough back to eliminate him from title contention. His teammate Tyla Rattray can only get to 4th. And that would be the difference, especially with this. Wilson remounting an attack on Tomac to steal the lead. And from there, he would pull away from the number 19. And with the race win and the 4th place finish from Rattray and Baggett even further back than that, that's enough points for Dean Wilson to clinch the 2011 title.
And how fitting is it that Dean Wilson, who had trouble winning the overalls earlier in the championship, wins the overall here today, dominated it, and locks down the title.
Yeah, so Aaron Bates is down there, and we'll talk to her in a second as they assemble the championship celebration, which we never thought would happen early. This title was so close, but what Wilson was able to do when the pressure was on is actually relax and have more fun, and he's down with Aaron Bates.
All the hard work, dedication, preparation, it all paid off for Dean Wilson. And to present the honors of the 2011 AMA 250 Motocross Plate is AMA's Kevin Crowther.
Thank you, Aaron. Congratulations, Dean, to you and your team on an outstanding season. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the AMA MX Sports Pro Racing to present you with the 2011 Lucas Oil 250 class #1 plate. Congratulations.
Dean Wilson taking it all in. The crowd is going crazy, grinning ear to ear. But Dean, this morning, you didn't really want to even talk about the championship. You wanted to put it in the back of your mind and go out and do what you knew how to do. You executed that. What does it mean to pull this off today?
Oh, it's just unbelievable. This is, I'm not lying when I say this. This is a dream come true. I've literally slept and dreamed about this. And, oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so emotional. I mean, this is just crazy. And I just want to dedicate this one to my papa out in Scotland. And my mom and dad, they can't be here. I'm really, really upset they're not here. But they're driving my motorhome back from Chad Reed's right now to get it back to California. You know, they're doing it all for me and the whole team, Monster Energy Pro Circuit, Kawasaki, Thor, Dunlop Parts Unlimited, Toyota Escondido, Bones, our suspension guy, Mitch. Oh man, there's so many. My mechanic, Paul, Sam, he's helped me out so much. This is just unbelievable and the best feeling ever. And I hope this isn't the last one because it just feels way too good. Thank you, everybody.
A lot of support behind Dean Wilson to take home the 2011 250 Motocross Championship plate.
That is awesome. Jason, that is such an amazing feeling, and it's like you've worked so hard through the amateur career and now in your pro career to get to this point, and looking over all that ocean of fans and photographers. It's cool, man.
Check out your Toyota moving forward schedule. We have one race left from Pala, and we'll cover it all live. Our first motos at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fuel TV. And then we'll have an hour break and be back live on Speed at 7 p.m. Eastern for our second moto. So join us for the big championship celebrations next week.
The 2011 season rolls on next week from Pala Raceway in California. Join us 1 week from today for 2 hours of live coverage of round 12 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Jason, Jeff, and Aaron have their bags packed and are ready for all the drama that only a season finale can bring. Don't run away just yet. When we come back, we put a bow on our coverage from Steel City.
Stuff on Wheels. Wednesday, 8 Eastern on Speed. Monster Jam on Speed, the motorsports authority.
Every rider is measured by victory, determination, and heart. But the spoils go to those who can back it up with proof.
Us #1 in motorcycle insurance? We love bikes. We love riders. And most of all, we love to ride.
Perfect hair every time.
Leading the pack in motorcycle insurance. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Good to go. With gas prices soaring, we have to find a way to make it all work. Our cars, for example. Some serve a purpose. Others, well, they're for the fun of it. Bottom line, we need to take care of them.
Lucas fuel-saving motor oils have special additives for maximum compression and minimum friction.
And more importantly these days, better fuel mileage. You work hard for your money. Spend it wisely.
Lucas fuel-saving motor oils are available at AutoZone and other fine retailers.
Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. And by the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. Well, the title, as you saw before we went to break. Here are those results in this moto. Eli Tomac second. Great run again. Marvin Musquin on the podium. And that's also where Aaron Bates is. Aaron?
Heat and humidity has been something that has made Eli Tomac struggle so far this season, but Eli, you overcame it today. How deep did you have to dig to make this happen?
That's pretty much the key that's been missing, I guess, is digging extra deep. Yeah, I've had a couple rough weeks there. You know, I've had a podium here and there, you know, and then a bad race here and there, but it's definitely nice. It feels like I'm getting the ball rolling just towards the end of the whole thing, but I want to say congrats to Dean on an awesome season and my whole Geico Honda Fox team. Thanks.
Great job today. And Marvin Musquin making your way 2 times in a row. You're up here. Take us through your day and how excited you are to be up on the podium.
My goal before this weekend with my trainer and the team is to finish on the podium. But on the podium there is 1, 2, and 3. But finish 3, it's pretty good, and I feel awesome. And like I said, first moto, it was really, really hummy today and pretty warm. But I stay strong and focused on my line. And I rode really smooth today, and I got a all-shot second moto. And I would like to thank again the Red Bull KTM team. And they did the great job, and my bike is awesome. And thanks to all my sponsors, Oakley, Lead Brace, Aero, and everybody in Europe, in France. Bye-bye.
Let's give you the overall results here. As you saw, Tomac and Musquin make the math very easy for us. Rattray and Swanepoel, the South Africans, round out the top 5. Here are your point standings heading into our finale. The 52-point lead is enough for Wilson to have this title on lock. But we're still going to race next weekend, and we still want you to watch. And remember, September 11th, the NFL regular season begins on with the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as two of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Then it's the Giants taking on the Redskins in D.C. or other regional action. Coverage begins Sunday, September 11th with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show at noon Eastern. We've got one more race in this series. Join us next week live from Pala. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Femming, I'm Jason Wigan. Congrats to Dean Wilson.